Hi there, I'm Rebecca and a really warm welcome back to my channel, PumpkinBecki. In this week's video we're going to be having a look at the bonsai. They've pushed out their first flush of growth and now we're going to come back and see what needs pruning, maybe if I can do a little bit of wiring on some things. So let's get started. The focus of this week's video is my Norway spruce forest, which I planted in February 2020. It has grown an awful lot since then, but unfortunately a lot of that growth has been kind of left to its own devices, let's say. It has got pretty tall, but I noticed that the heights of most of the trees are now quite even, whereas they're supposed to be different. And a lot of the new growth needs some attention. If there's one rule I can be relied upon to forget about when it comes to pruning spruce, it's that you never cut the tip off unless there is an active bud behind. I get all excited by this long lush growth and I think, oh, I need to pinch that back, and I forget to look for an active bud. Let's have a look at this really nice obvious example. I have this branch here, we have the old wood, and we have some newer growth pushed out. And there you can see a bud. We can safely prune this to just above that bud, and that bud will push. If I tried to come backwards into the much older growth where there are no buds, this will become a dead tip, just like this one. Here's one that I did get right. I wanted to shorten this branch, it's quite high up in the tree. I looked to where I had a bud coming and I pruned the leader of this branch off. That's that black tip you can see there, and that has made this push. This year I could do with shortening this again, and I just flex the needles there a little bit. You can see there is a bud there, and that's probably the shortest bud I have. So I've removed the tip, but I have left that bud intact. Now sometimes these buds are not obvious at all, and the best way to look at them is actually from the underside of the branch. You can just lift the branch up and look, and you can see I've got one right there. You will also notice that I have an awful lot of needles still hanging on. If they come off freely, like this, they're brown and they just come off as I rub my fingers over them, that's fine. If they don't want to come off, the spruce is telling you it needs them. And they do not get pulled off if the tree still needs them. They'll usually still have a little bit of green on them. So we just rub our finger around the area that we think they might need to come off. If they come off, good. If not, leave them. I carry on all the way around the forest group, reducing all the branches to the next bud wherever I can. If I can't, I'm leaving the branch alone for now. Once the trees get bigger and stronger and better, then we will be able to remove those weaker branches. But for right now, I'm going to leave them there because they are helping the tree gain some energy. It's really important to do this operation through all the trees in the group before you start trying to make other pruning decisions. You may make pruning decisions which really limit your possibilities, especially if you take off a branch that has a bud on it and you're left with one that hasn't. Better to know what you've got before you start removing branches. Now I'm just going to share a little tale of woe with you. I broke my lav mic, the one that clips on to my collar, so I've had to do something a little bit Heath Robinson with my Rode mic. Now you may have noticed there's some adverts appearing in my videos. That's because I recently got monetized, which is exciting. I'm trying not to spam you with adverts, I'm just keeping it kind of low key. However, I do need to buy myself a new lav mic, and I've also set up a link to something called buymeacoffee.com, and you'll see there is a link to that in my channel banner. It's on the bottom right hand side of my channel banner. There's also going to be one in the description box of every video, because, well, there is absolutely no pressure, but any support is greatly appreciated. So now I've pruned off all the growing tips that I can, I'm going to go through and add some wire, and I will also prune out any trifurcations so that we're left with just bifurcating joints. That's where a branch splits from 1 into 2, and then that splits into 2 and 2. And it gets more and more ramified. We're obviously a long way away from any sort of ramification right now. Easy Darcy. You can see here that I've actually gone through and cleaned up the bases. There were lots of quite low branches, and I've now taken those all off so that the branching starts much higher up the trunks. This is the front view of the base, and this was my main tree, I believe. I don't think it was this one. I think it was this one. No, at this stage it's hard to tell, but actually this one is significantly more slender than this one. So for now we will call this one the main tree. I'm finding that the branches on these spruce are still nice and springy and fine, so that means that I only need a light gauge of wire to be able to hold it in the position that I want to move it to. I'm using an alpine kind of outline for the trees. Here's an example of the shapes I would like to make with the branches. I'm going to first of all push them up at the shoulder and then drop them down quite steeply. Well, it was a lot warmer out here when I first started this morning. It's gone grey, it's trying to spit. Oh, so cold. Hello, June. Anyway, the forest is now all wired out and not bad, not bad. While I was wiring, I lost a couple of the more weak branches, which was a shame, but you know, these things these things happen. I've adjusted all the heights as well, so that the back ones are now lower than the main trees at the front. That gives you a sense of forced perspective, making this look further away than it really is. I would like these two trees to be more different in height, but I haven't got any really useful buds, so I think that's just going to have to wait, and it'll have to happen another time. I just wanted to talk a little bit about how I shortened the trees. You can see here, this is my shortest one, then the next, then the next, the next, the next, the next, and then the two front ones are fairly similar. So I cut the leader off at the point where I had a nice strong branch coming from the front of the group. This meant that I could then pull that new shoot up to become the new leader. And over time we'll be able to sort of refine this joint a little bit. And I've done that operation on all the trees. Right, that's it for this week's video. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, share and subscribe to me here on YouTube. And until next time, bye!